Hey, Spencer Sutton here with Evernest, and today I'm going to answer the question, how much should I rent my home for? This is a great question, and really ultimately the first question you should answer before you do anything else. It's going to be before you market the property or you get a lease signed, anything. The very first thing is understanding the market rate for your property. So I'm going to give you some encouragement, and then I'm going to give you a few ways that you can do this. Now, the encouragement to you as a homeowner is to be as objective as possible, right? So I'm going to give you some ways to be objective, but ultimately I know that a lot of homeowners are emotionally attached to their properties, and that's okay. But when you're talking about renting your home, you need to be as objective as possible. So how do we do this? Well, I'm going to give you some tips that you can walk through to figure out exactly how you should rent your home. And the first one I would say, number one, is I got my whiteboard here. I'm going to write them up there. Number one is I would really do some kind of what we call boots on the ground research. So this is talking to neighbors. This could be driving the neighborhoods looking for rent signs. A lot of times if a landlord is doing things themselves, they'll just put a sign in the yard. You can call that number, ask them how many bedrooms, how many baths, what year was it built, how many square footage, how much they're asking, those types of questions. I think that's one way that you can do it. Some people are, may not want to do it, and they say, well, I want to do everything online. So if you're one of those people, the second way I would say is I would look on Zillow. I would just type in Zillow, type in your zip code, type in your area. I'm here in Homewood, Alabama right now. I can go on Zillow and type in Homewood, Alabama, or I can type in 35209 and get a picture of my area where I am right now, and then I can even zoom in more and look at the houses. So what are the things that you need to be concerned about here or need to be thinking about? These are the things. You need to be looking for properties that match your bedroom and bathroom mix. You need to be looking for properties that are similar in square footage. You need to be looking for properties that are similar in year built. And then you also need to be looking for properties that are similar in updated styles. So this is going to be really important, because if you look at a house that was just renovated, newly renovated, and everything is like up to date, and then your property, it's been 20 years and it's a little bit out of date, you're going to have to take that into consideration when setting those prices, because all things equal, guess what? They're going to choose the one that's been updated. Also, the way you can use Zillow is you can look at your Zillow and it will give you a rent zestimate, is what they call it. And so Zillow is going to also do that. You can look at that. Now, sometimes they're a little bit off. So we like to, we've got another piece of software, but we also have, at Evernest, we've got obviously a lot of experience. We have houses all over our markets. We're all over the country. And so it's easier for us to say, well, I know that this area, this bedroom bath should rent for this. And so you really kind of, when you're looking at Zillow, just understand that. You're looking for very close matches, and then you're also looking maybe at the rent zestimate just to get an idea. So that's the second way that you can do that. The third way, I would say, is call a property manager. Call a property manager. If you have one that you trust or that you think could give you a great idea of what your house could rent for, then I would call that property manager and talk to one of their sales reps. So like at Evernest, we have sales reps that help people figure this out. And if you were to call us, our business development manager or sales rep here would walk you through, they would pull all this information up, they would talk to you about it, and they would give you their best idea of what you should rent this property for without being inside the house. So they can do this on the phone, through the computer, send you a report and say, here are the comps in the area. And so that's one way you could also do it that would give you some really good information. And then I would say the fourth way is like software, like Rentometer. And this is just a software. You can go to Rentometer.com and look at it, and it's going to show you type in the address and all that and give them your email and those types of things, and they're going to give you something similar to the rent estimate. They're going to give you an estimate also for what you can rent that property for. We use a different software at Evernest, but it's the same type of idea. So those are great ways that you can determine what is my market rate. Like what should I rent my home for? Now, here are some other things to consider. This one is a big one. I'm gonna separate this. I just want you to understand that if you have a white elephant, a house that has a white elephant, then guess what? You're gonna need to adjust your price down. And so a white elephant, you may be saying, well, what is a white elephant, Spencer? That doesn't make any sense. Well, we call it a white elephant because it's something that you can't ignore, but you can't do anything about. So just imagine if you had this gigantic white elephant sitting in your front yard. You can't move that elephant, but yet you can't ignore it. So what is a white elephant when it comes to your property? Well, a white elephant is going to be something like your house is on a very busy street. That is going to detract from people renting your house very quickly. Other things might be a very steep driveway. I had a friend recently who had rehabbed a house, and this house was fantastic, but the driveway was way too steep, and he was flipping this house, and so it sat on the market for 3 or 4 months. Great house, serious issue with the driveway. So you're going to need to adjust your rental rate maybe down according to that white elephant. What's another one? Well, I would say a funky layout in your property. This is where you need to be super objective and say, was this a custom built house that somebody just kind of strangely built different hallways and different things that doesn't really lay out very well? There's a reason why these national home builders sell hundreds of thousands of houses every year with very similar styles, very similar layouts. It's because that's what people want. So you have to look at your property and understand, does it have a funky layout? And that's something that you're typically not gonna, unless you decide to knock down walls or whatever, it's usually not what you're gonna do for a rental house. Other things would be, are you near railroad tracks? Are you near power lines? Those are things that are white elephants that could detract somebody from renting your house. And you just need to be very, very aware and be very objective again about what you should be renting your property for. And so what are the data points that you need to be looking for? It's when you finally decide, I'm gonna put my property out there, and you put it out and you start marketing it. Maybe you get some phone calls, some inquiries. If you don't get anybody coming to see the house, say, yes, I wanna come and look at your house, then it's probably priced too high. They're able to look at it, they're able to look at comps, they're able to determine, like, I'm not going to pay this much for this house in this area. So if you don't have any showings, that's a warning sign. Now, if you have showings but nobody fills out an application, that's a different type of warning sign. That means there's something going on inside the house that you may need to address. What I would do is I would ask for feedback. If you're out there showing your property and somebody says, you know what, and you ask them, are you going to fill out an application? And they say no, I would ask them why. Is there something wrong with the property? Is there something you notice that could be dealt with, could be fixed? If your house stinks, or maybe you have scratches all over walls, maybe your walls aren't nice and painted. What if your carpet is all worn down and messed up? These are things that are going to cause somebody to pass by your property. So think about those. These are just some different metrics you can look at. Am I getting any showings? Am I getting any applications? Because if you're not, that's going to tell you something and signal something that you probably need to do with your price. All right, I hope that answers your question, and I hope that helps you out, and we look forward to answering more questions. If you ever want to talk to us, you can reach out, sales@evernest.co. We'd be more than happy to help you determine how much you should rent your house for.